So very good morning to everybody. Good morning from Dublin. Beautiful weather here. Good time to talk about L4MS. My name is Ola Skalska and I work for Funding Box. We are a partner in the L4MS consortium. And Funding Box is in general responsible for distributing European Commission funds. That's what we do in short. So we're facilitating the processes of open calls. And this presentation, this webinar, is about how we're going to select, what's the process, what's the offer on the table, how you apply, and all the operational details. Just to make it very clear, I will be not discussing the technology behind L4MS. I will just mention it briefly. If you have more technical questions, maybe something related to the IT, the engineering process behind L4MS, I'll be happy to take them all. There is a help desk email at the end of this set of slides, and then please address anything that's not clear, and I will forward the message to the team of engineers that were creating the OPIL technology, the technology we offer in L4MS. So at the end, I will try to keep it concise and as short as I can, so that we have some time at the end of the call for questions, for discussion, for anything that you need to clarify later on. All right, so I think we're ready. Let's do it. The slides will be shared, by the way. We'll provide you a link. This presentation is recorded, so you will have it all for your reference. Yeah, and that's it. If we're ready to go, I guess we should now. So let me start just by saying briefly that L4MS is about improving the intra-factory logistics. That's why we're all here. That's why we want to support you guys, as we know that, especially for the SMEs, logistics processes might be complicated, time-consuming, very costly, and then the technologies that you might be implementing are not always accessible in the easy way. By technologies, I mean, for example, the integration of AGVs at your factories, at your warehouse premises. So we thought that creating L4MS would be a good help, a good support, simply because we want to reduce the cost of installation. That's our very ambitious goal. We want to shorten the time of implementation. That's a very high KPI by a factor of 10. Will it be successful at the end of the day? I can't answer this question. We hope it will. We hope the L4MS will help you in daily life and business. And that's the bottom line behind why we're doing that. So in order to tell you what we're doing exactly, we are creating two things in L4MS. First of all, that's a marketplace. That's the platform that we hope will be a business point of meeting between the suppliers and the end receivers, the manufacturing companies all around Europe. So hopefully one day it will be fully operational and it will just serve you in order to implement things better and faster and in easier way. And then other than the marketplace, a very, I should say maybe the core element of L4MS is the OPIL platform. Open Platform for Innovation in Logistics, that's, I believe, is the acronym. So the platform, the OPIL technology, was created inside L4MS. So it's nothing you will find on the market. I mean, maybe similar solutions are there. However, this is a brand new, from a scratch solution developed by my partners in L4MS, very renowned research centers, excellent engineers. So they were trying to get a platform that will optimize, help in planning, monitoring the factory logistics. And then the marketplace, as I was saying, one-stop shop, that's one thing. We also hope that the marketplace will serve as a funding point so that you can help, that you can find some help in getting more money. And we hope that it will connect you. It will build a network of integrators, technology suppliers, and SMEs or mid-caps. When it comes to OPIL, that's the area that I will not go into further detail. However, in short, that's a simulation software. So it's basically the digital twin creator that is supposed to help you imagine or see in a digital version how your factory logistics could be improved. So obviously, by the platform, I also mean all the elements that are connected, like AGVs, for instance, or any other robotic solution. Having this on our minds, let's move why we do the open call itself. So we created the marketplace, the OPIL, which is the eye of everything, and then we suggested that the real market should be testing this solution. So we want to start helping you immediately, and we want you to take OPIL, incorporate it, play with it a little in real life. And for that purpose, we need to select companies, or consortia rather, I will explain it in a while, that will implement OPIL, experiment with it, let us know, give us your feedback, and then we can improve. Hopefully you improve on the way as well. So this selection process of our end beneficiaries, of consortia that actually use the products that we created, is called an open call. So this process is just the selection. So what we're trying to give you here is not only the OPIL itself. We obviously have money from the European Commission, as L4MS is the Horizon 2020 project. So on the table, what you see right now is the €250,000 per consortium. And also at the end of the program, we will try to link you with venture capital. So that's a combination of public and private funding that's available. Public funding, the $250,000 is given. Venture capital used for scaling up your solutions, that's something that's up to the business transaction. So we are not actively taking any shares. We'll just try to find you suitable partners. However, your business negotiations are up to you. So this is a separate, on top of everything, help. And then obviously all the design support around the AGV systems that you will be incorporating, or the process of digitalization of logistics, this will be given to you through mentorship. The digital twin option is something that is supposed to help you imagine things better in a more clear way. So obviously this is the part of the offer as well as the whole package. And then the way of how to connect OPIL to your existing systems, because we can't just drop you a platform and say that's the product, please go and use it. We know that these are important processes, maybe sometimes complicated. You might not have the skills right now. So that's why all the integration mechanisms behind OPIL platform will be also monitored by L4MS. We will have people dedicated to your experiments, because this is how we will call the finalists, the experiments. So there will be mentors guiding you through the entire process of integration. And as I was saying before, if there is a lack of skills, maybe you're not familiar with any of these topics, but you want to learn, you want to improve in this area, we will get you a set of trainings so that you can really go and use it in daily activities. So that's in short about what's on the table. So this is our offering. And I will just tell you briefly, I will start with two project examples that might be a kind of more visual example of what we're looking for. So these are a few scenarios that could be successful in L4MS open call. One of them is the situation that you have a warehousing area somewhere, the logistics process is in place, however, it's missing, for instance, AGVs. And you really want to automate the entire chain. You have probably basic idea how to do that. However, the machinery itself and the complete layout is not there. So if this is the case and you would like to explore the option, absolutely you should apply to L4MS open call, as you will get the OPIL in the scope of simulating how the AGVs could be incorporated. Then you'll get a full business idea or a business plan how to use it further, and plus the a notion of where to get further funding. So this is scenario A, if you do not have automated process at all. In scenario B, it could be a step farther. It could be a warehousing premises with AGVs already existing and operating. Maybe there is a problem with human-machine connection somewhere. So you want to fix the issues that you see daily. You want to improve something, maybe it's too costly, maybe it's too slow, maybe the quality of the process is not there. So again, L4MS could be a very good response here. And then all the simulations, task planning software, and all the track and trace functionalities of OPIL should help you move forward and overcome the problems that you identified so far. Again, this could be a combination of both cases. So let's say you want to add new AGVs to the existing floor, or you may want to have a mix of new ones and the already gotten ones. So then this is a possible scenario here as well. And a mix is allowed. And then you will work on both sides together. So this is absolutely eligible as well in the call. So these are basic scenarios. I should also say that the sector of the manufacturing company, the people having the warehouse, does not matter at this point. The producer could be from anything from agro-food to health to wood, whatever is the segment of the market. As long as there is a warehousing premises with a logistics process to improve, we're interested in hearing from you. So let's move forward as we know what's on the table, what type of stories we're looking for, and then how you actually move on from here. So, well, first of all, you should start with identifying your opportunity, building your consortium, and then writing the proposal. The proposal writing is a big word, however, that's how it's called. It's just an online form that you will be filling in. By the opportunity recognition, I mean identifying your role in all of that. As we are looking for different types of applicants coming to the open call together. The SME, or a mid-cap actually, is the company having the warehousing premises that will be used for the purpose of experiment. And this is the absolute obligation to have an SME on board in your consortium. So that's partner number one. Then the layout of the consortium itself, it could bring a system integrator, it could be an IT provider, AGV manufacturer, supplier of some kind of technical solutions. It's up to you. So the only obligatory element, the SME, and then the other partners, depending on the logic of your project. So feel free to look around, see who you need further in the experiment in order to use OPIL, implement it, integrate it, and just play with it later. The consortium building, this is important because I said before, €250,000. So now we're going to narrow down the number, or maybe just specify how it goes in between the consortium partners. So $250,000, that's a maximum amount for the entire consortium, and that's a quite now I'm thinking that's a quite high grant. We can't go much higher, no further than that. We can go lower, obviously, if you don't need all this money. And then another limitation is that none of the partners in your consortium can get more than 100,000 euros. So ideal scenario would be something that you see here on the left. Based on the previous call we had last year and based on the consortia we chose, I would suggest the optimum setup for L4MS is a leading manufacturing SME or a mid-cap, as you need to have them, plus two other partners that will help in the integration, implementation, production of something on the way, maybe prototyping. So 1 + 2 is actually what will give you the most optimum setup. And then the money is divided in between stages of L4MS, as this is not just one long project. It's long, that's true, it's 11 months. However, it's divided into 3 stages, as you can see here. So the initial stage that will last for 2 months, that's your time, if you're selected, of course, that's your time to come up with a detailed plan for your experiment. Because what we're asking for on day one is a very general description. We want to see the potential, the engagement, the possibility of scaling up your solution. And that's an entry point. For 2 months' time, you will be working with L4MS mentors. So these are the people from the inside of consortium, engineers and business mentors. And in these 2 months, you are asked to prepare something that will be a very detailed description together with technical side of the experiment that will show us how you want to execute later. Here, there is no other funding, than 3,000 euros that will be spent on travel, really, because we want to see you, we want to meet you in person. At the end of the 2 months' time, there is something we call a boot camp, which is basically a pitching competition. So 10 consortia will be allowed to stage 1 to work in detail. After the stage 1, we want to see everybody somewhere in Europe, and that's why you get this money to travel and to meet us and to sell your idea. So there is a panel of judges. They select 6 consortia moving forward, and the 6 consortia in the second stage actually get the real money. And by real, I mean the core amount that is offered, that's on the table by L4MS. So this is when the execution happens, when the manufacturing SME takes the technology, all other partners try to help with the integration element. You have deliverables on the way, you need to report back to us, obviously. So we're not releasing the money just like that. We want to see you progress systematically. And then the last stage is something that will be offered to 3 out of 6 consortia, the most promising ones, because we want to help them with the links and connections to the venture capital mentioned before. So this is the time to see if your solution, if your new improved business logistics process could bring you new benefits, in short. So that's the part that business mentors will be heavily engaged in, and they will try to find you additional funding, because let's be honest, 250 per 3 partners, it's not going to be a huge amount of money at the end of the day. And we're fully aware that logistics processes and manufacturing is a costly business. So hopefully there is some investor that could come on board and support you with something much higher than what we offer here. When it comes to the proposal writing, as I said before, we are just asking for basic online application that I will show you in a while. So this is not your PhD, this is not your regular European Commission application. We are not asking for extensive data. It's just the story and the potential and availability of executing the experiment later on. Something important that I should mention at this point, since I don't know your situations in particular, if you happen to be just an individual entity, so let's say you're a manufacturing SME here, and you really want to do that, it makes perfect sense. However, you have no system integrator on board, no IT provider, then please let us know, as we are offering matchmaking support. So what you do, you log online, and the page will be shown later. You log online, you just provide basic information as your email address, your country, and your profile name. So you need to identify which one of them you are. And then, given this data, we can see if there are potential candidates for you. And it happened twice so far that we were able to suggest full consortia. The discussion between the potential partners is obviously up to you. So it will be actually me connecting you over email, and then you take it from there. So depending of how you agree on things, and if you decide to work together, you submit a proposal or not. We are just giving you the access to potential partners, and in the hope of, you know, getting your application at the end of the day. The deadline for the call is November 30th, 2019. It's 1 p.m. So in the middle of the day, it gives you the option to relax. It's not the last day of the year, so right before Christmas you will be absolutely done, even a month after. So there is no extension of the deadline. You can edit your application as many times as you wish before November 30th. Even if you submit it before the end of November, you can still edit the submitted application. So we'll take the latest version as a valid one, and November 30th, 1 p.m., we close the system. So if you're late by a few seconds, that will mean you're out of the game. And at the same time, please remember about not waiting to the very last moment. I did multiple open calls around Europe, and it's always the same story. Everyone applies within last week, last few days, last hours. Not a good approach. I know that it's overwhelming to do everything at the same time. However, please be aware that due to some technical reasons, however, it never happened, but I'm always obliged to say it, it might be that systems are overused and something doesn't go right. So you might be late just because the technical reasons prevented you from the submission. So if possible, give yourself a few days before the end of the month. And this is the a brief representation of what will happen during the 3 stages of the program. So stage 1 with the boot camp at the end, that's a 1-day event here, so nothing extensive. That's your technical and business proposal definition. So that's the merit job before the execution, and then 10 consortia are attending this part. 6 of them will move forward. For the 6 coming, as you can see, the euro symbol is increasing because that's when the money will be spent on your experiment. You are improving the actual logistics, you are executing, providing the technical details back to us, and then the money is being distributed throughout this time. If you're successful enough, 3 out of 6 are moving to this part. So we'll see who's got the best potential from the stage 2 group. At this point, from our previous open call, we are getting to the end of stage 2. We have 6 amazing experiments in the program working right now. So who moves forward, I don't know, too early to say. However, we're way on this timeline. So we almost did it all once. Which is good news for you. And right now, that's the second and the last call. So if it seems interesting, we have all the experience from the previous call. We know how to support people even better. So no-brainer to me. Let's move towards who's eligible in the call and what you need to know in more detail. So as I was saying before, the SMEs or mid-caps from the manufacturing sector with the warehousing premises, that's partner number 1 and the only one that you need to have. The rest of the partners, the rest of the setup, absolutely depending on the logic of the project. You can even have a university. Is it for-profit, non-for-profit organization? It doesn't matter here. It could be anyone, anywhere, as long as they are somewhere in the group of eligible countries that will be shown in a while. Then it's just 1 application per consortium. So it's, I would suggest a leader makes the application, mentions the partners. There is no additional documents that we will require at this stage. So no registers, no status, nothing really legal. It's just the leader saying, this is the setup, that's how we're going to work, use our resources in this particular way. If this is the situation that you do not have the consortium partners on the horizon, that's the address. So it will take you to the simple registration. And from then on, hopefully, we can help you with finding suitable partners. And then the question where you need to be. Obviously, the European Commission promotes European entities, so the member states of the EU, that's the core group of countries. However, we are extending L4MS offer for overseas countries and territories and associated in Horizon 2020. If you go to the Open Call website, I will show it also later. You will see the documents that's called Guide for Applicants, and that's your Bible in a way. So you will have all the list of countries, for instance, mentioned with the links and the directives, what is understood by associated countries to Horizon 2020, for instance. So then you will be fully aware of who should be applying and who is definitely off limits. Funding is big. However, please note that there is a certain set of limitations. So in our case, you should check if you or any of your consortium partners got previously money from two very particular calls. So we're looking for the program that's called L4MS and Smart Anything Everywhere. Each open call that you will see from the Commission is different. Here, the project officer said, okay, anyone could apply. However, if there was previously a grant from any of these two programs, well, the money from L4MS and Smart Anything Everywhere should be basically deducted. So if you happen to have something in the past, it doesn't matter when, but if it happened, you would need to tell us that. We also do the screening on our side in order to see who was previously awarded the financial support. And your previous grant will impact the maximum of 100,000 euros. So please note that. To be honest, these are not extremely popular calls. However, it happened that our applicants had to resign from the process as they realized that actually applying to L4MS means that they would need to do the project from their own budgets, as the previous grants were too high. So that's your personal decision. And something else that was not on the previous slides, but the division of 250 is different for different profiles of partners. It's not that you can divide it by 3 if you have 3 consortium members. It depends on who you are. The manufacturing SME or a mid-cap will get 48,000 euros for the experiment. Any other profile, meaning the system integrator, the university competence centers, and all of the supporting partners will get a maximum of 98. So there is a difference in between how you are being supported. What we're trying to get from you at the entry point level is, first of all, how you're going to use the resources. We want to make sure you can execute the experiment. It's several months that you will be working with us, so obviously we want to see the involvement, the actual need and capacity to finish the experiment successfully. We also ask you to provide us a basic information how, or maybe what type of money, what amount of money you want to spend. As I was saying, it could be the case that maybe you don't need that much, hardly believable, but still. Or it could be the case that you were previously granted something, so we want to know it upfront, how much money you're requesting from us, and in short, how you're going to use it. So what you can finance from L4MS is basically your personal cost. So anybody who's involved in your experiment could be paid from L4MS grant. You could, as long as this is justified, you could also spend money on the category that's called other costs, which could be, for instance, travel. It means that maybe you need to go somewhere in order to learn something. And then if this travel is absolutely indispensable in the light of L4MS experiment, we'll accept this cost. It says equipment here. However, please remember this is not your business commercial equipment. You can't buy an AGV that will be commercially used later. You can buy equipment for testing and for prototyping and for experimenting with L4MS. So we can't give you money for straightforward business operations. If you need to buy other goods and services, obviously, yes, again, the justification here matters. So L4MS is pretty flexible in how we understand things. However, and we want you to succeed by all means. However, please remember that whatever you spend in this project needs to be tightly linked to the purpose of the experiment. And things that if you are in the European Union funds area somewhere, you probably know them. There is no way to fund the same cost twice. So if you previously bought your prototype, you can't pay for it again in a way from L4MS. So you can't register this cost again as covered by L4MS. That's pretty straightforward accounting rule. Anything that's not related to the project, we will not accept this cost. And plus on top, if there is any audit, you might be asked why this particular trip was registered as L4MS spending. And if it was not, it's just not worth it. So please stay away from blurry costs and do not include them under L4MS. And the something that I mentioned before, however, it's written here: purchase of commercial equipment that will serve you for the business purposes, it's not allowed. So you are asked to experiment and test. You are not asked here to do your business operations with the machinery that will be supported by L4MS. What's important? Well, we want to see how in your scenarios you imagine OPIL as part of your platform. We want you to imagine how the cost or the time will be reduced and how you're staying aligned to our objectives. Obviously, we all speak English, so the entire program and the entire application will be in English only. So if you happen to have a description, maybe from your marketing site, maybe your supplier doesn't know the language, that's fine. However, please make sure the application is in English and you have people that can communicate in English freely later on, because all the mentors will be using this language. And there is just one entry point to find the call. So that's l4ms.eu website, and then you will see on the website, that's exactly the print screen, you will see the button that says apply to the first, to the L4MS open call. And once you get further, you will also see the sub-page opening with all the information that I was mentioning before, which will be, for instance, guide for applicants, the text that we provided in order to guide you through the entire process and legal requirements, the FAQ, frequently asked questions file that answers, as we collect lots of questions ongoing through the call, we incorporate them in this file. And that's the email helpdesk@l4ms.eu that will allow you to contact us and to clear anything that was not obvious. So once you decide to enter, to hit the apply button, this is what you will see. That's the online application form. 3 sections are important in particular: excellence, impact, and implementation. So this is your core element of application. Prior to that, you have legal contact info, some statistical data below. So that's the only 3 elements that you need to focus on. And as you can see, they are not extremely time consuming. 2 are including 3 questions each, and the implementation section, 4 questions. As you can see, 3 to 4 pages, that's the maximum amount of characters that you will be able to put in. However, if you're very concise and very focused on what you're saying, there is no need to produce 3 pages in excellence. So that's the level of effort you will need to include once applying to the L4MS. So let's go into a bit more into detail of what's expected under each of the core sections. So in excellence, basically, we're asking you to provide us with a description of what's the current situation, what's the pain in the logistics process, and then how you want to innovate it, what's the objective, how you want to fix it, what's the new concept that you're applying here. Maybe there is a new product or a service at the end of the day that you would like to achieve as well. And then we want you to see yourself in the context of your market. So we're basically saying, okay, with this innovation, where are you? Are you going to be competitive? Who's doing what? And these are very short descriptions tell us how your situation looks like and where this project could potentially position you if it's implemented successfully. In the impact, we're talking more about the business side of things. So the opportunity, the value proposition, something that can be the scalable solution out of L4MS. So both these areas focused on the how you want to solve the problem in market terms. Then it's very interesting for us to learn how you can maybe find a problem in your at your premises that could be compared or replicable in other entities in your segment. Maybe that was something that you spotted that others have as well. So maybe it's something that we can grow much farther than your consortium only. And then once you're done with these two questions, we're asking about complementarity to other funds. And yes, that's true that we say projects that can bring additional money will be prioritized. So what we're only trying to say here is it would be good news for us to see that your idea is somehow supported by another fund. It's not an obligation. However, it's always a very good, not only PR move, but a move towards more stable project in the future. If that was recognized, validated by somebody else, it could be, for instance, your national regional agency. Maybe there is a similar call coming up in the future. Maybe there is an investor that can back up what you're doing here. This will definitely bring up the value of your proposal. And then the implementation, which looks very, very simple. However, please remember this is one of the key elements of the application for us. We want to see how you're going to manage your resources. And this is especially important when it comes to the team. In startup world, it's very obvious that if you have a great team of people and a so-so idea, you can still do things with it. If that's the other way around, if the idea is excellent, but your team is not, well, that's going to be a serious red flag to us. And by a good team, I don't mean that we need to have the best experts in industry. However, that's always nice. What I'm saying here is please make sure that your team has complementary skills, so that you are not showing the profiles of 3 developers and a person from a production, because it's not very stable. Make it diversified, make it a cross-functional team that will be able to execute this project as a whole. So production, logistics, IT, finance, even marketing, sales, whoever you need, make a very, very stable and diversified team. As for us, this means that you not only figured it out before, but that you have support cross-functionally, and you will be able to deliver something very, very interesting. Of course, on the way, you are trying to define what the tasks will be, what the milestones you can achieve on the way, and obviously the risk. We are asking you what could go wrong starting this application right now. What's your actual projection? So very basic KPIs at the end. Please suggest, there is no obligatory list here. Please suggest whatever you feel can show us the way to measure the progress of your project. So it's absolutely up to you if it's in terms of time or money or something else. That's free choice, and we are very happy if you stay creative here, unless please keep it at the same time reasonable. There is also a section that's called Transversal criteria, and please do not be worried about this one. It's the short information how you're going to impact the environment, the equal opportunities, and the social scene. And that's the element that has to happen, has to be put somewhere in the open call. We are managing public European Commission funds, so this part will always be there. And this part, if there is a tie between two experiments, we will use this part, the scoring from this section, in order to determine who goes forward. So please do not write anything. Try to figure it out as much as you can. This is also important, not core. However, we need to have this section submitted as well. So this is the, again, the deadline. If you need any help regarding the application process or the OPIL technology itself or anything else, we are very happy to help you through the email address. If there is individual registration, obviously, please do that. And I would suggest, please do that as soon as possible. Basically, waiting till the very last minute in the call will not allow us to provide you any suggestions about potential co-partners. So you guys will have to have some time to discuss things, figure out the scope of the project. And that's really it. Just to finish it off about the what happens later. So we're evaluating everything in December. In January, the project will have something we call a consensus meeting. So from the scoring by external experts, we're choosing, we're basically working on a short list. And then in January, we're deciding who from the short list is moving forward. So the results are very, very fast. Okay, and that was it from me. I'm very glad to answer questions. So please, please tell me.
Hi, we have a couple of questions in the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just quickly go through them. Can the consortium partners be based in the same country, or do they have to be from other countries?
They can be from the same country, yes.
Okay. As far as I understood, if the SMEs don't have automation, the money can be used for a simulation without the need to buy any real HEVs. Is this correct?
Yes, yes, this is correct.
And also, can the system integrator be a multinational company, or does the size count?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. When it comes to the size, we are looking at the manufacturing SME or a mid-cap only. So other profiles, they are free to be any size that they actually are. So in case of manufacturing SMEs and mid-caps, we will be asking for the shareholder structure, and we will see if they actually are below the limit. When you are a provider of a technology, integrator, university, then the size of your entity doesn't matter at all.
Okay, and then one question: that are there any financial limitations for eligibility, and can a startup participate?
Yeah, absolutely. If you feel that's the case for you, yes, there is no requirement of having any sort of capital entering L4MS. So the only thing would be if a startup happens to be a manufacturing company, the first obligatory element in the consortium, then once we're analyzing the status, so we're checking if they are actually an SME or a mid-cap, a big turnover could impact this section. So we're basically checking if the SME is below 250 people or 50 up to 50 million of turnover for the last year. So if this startup happens to be extremely successful and has 500 million of turnover, that could be a problem here.
Okay, that's it for the typed questions.
All right, thanks, Anna. How about other questions? We still have time. No more questions?
Hi, this is Michael Goday calling. I was wondering if you could elaborate a bit on the size, on defining the size of what an SME means to you and what a mid-cap means to you. So what's the threshold for both?
Yeah, you will find the exact definitions in the guide for applicants. Let's see, sorry about that. I'm just sharing my screen, so please don't mind other things. SME is based on the European Commission's definition, so that's something that is up to 250 people, not less, sorry, not more, and then the 50 million of turnover. However, here you need to be very careful. If you are 200 people in your headcount, in your official HR register, we will be checking if you have maybe shareholders. If your shareholder is a multinational with 10,000 people and they have 100% of shares, they own you in 100%, we will add their headcount to yours. So basically, you are not 200 people anymore. You will be 10,200. So that's absolutely not accepted. And then the mid-caps, we are saying the mid-cap, actually, there is no official definition from the European Union side. However, the basic reference is not more than 3,000 people. So again, we will check the connections, the shareholders map. If it happens that you are owned by somebody really big, you will for sure overcome 3,000 people employed. So this is what you see right now. That's the eligibility criteria section from guide from applicants. And then you will see SME definition. This is the definition here in the footnote. Then you will see here and then further down how we actually calculate the mid-cap status. So you can, for the mid-caps, there is autonomous enterprise. So this is something that's a standalone company. And then you see the connection in between different partners. That's something we're going to analyze in detail. So basically, it's always a very unique story, depending very strongly on who owns you and who you own as a company. So 250 or 3,000, and we can't go more than that.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
This is Ricardo, and I would like to ask for those companies who will survive the first selection, then they have to compete for the bootcamp. Mm-hmm. And I would like to know if there is, they have to prepare a new proposal for this bootcamp.
No, for the bootcamp, what you propose, what you prepare actually is a presentation, it's a pitch. So you mm-hmm. take your the text that you were creating for the 2 months with your mentors, and you're trying to change it or transform it into a successful pitch that will be presented in not more than 5 minutes. So that's the challenge. So that's something that again comes from the startup world. When you have 5 minutes for your presentation, 3 minutes for questions, and then you're done. So you need to have a good selling pitch. The panel of jurors will listen to you, but they know your proposal, the long text, they know it. They will have it to read it up front. So your presentation is just like closing the sale. It's closing the deal. So I would suggest to have a good person on stage for this 5 minutes that can actually convince the panel and can also answer the technical questions. So that's a tricky part, who you want to send over. But the proposal remains the same. Again, at the stage 2, there is a selection, so very similar idea. In this round that we have right now, we are doing the second bootcamp online, so there is no need to travel anywhere. It will be, again, 5 minutes and 3 for the questions and pitching competition. So it means that you need to sell it.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry, one question from my side. I'm Luigi Nuzzi. Mm-hmm. If the money owned by one of the parties, let's say the SME, can be spent for personnel as consultant, or they have to be personnel which are employees of the company?
Yeah, that would be a bit like subcontracting, right? Because you would need to find another person. It could be spent on subcontracting. However, based on my personal experience, that's a very difficult way to do that. So if you can avoid subcontracting, I would suggest doing that, because then we enter the public procurement area. So what you will need to do would be to collect offers from the market. I mean, to prove that you got the best value for money, and then there was no conflict of interest between you and your subcontractor. So it's absolutely possible. However, that's a time-consuming process. So if you can go without this consultant, I would say please do. At the same time, you will be given mentors from L4MS, so hopefully this person will be able to guide you and help you, and these are mentors that are engineers themselves. So that's why they will be working with you one-on-one, and hopefully that's how you're gonna kind of fix this gap of not having very particular expertise. But in short, it is possible, but you know, it's gonna be a lot of things in order to subcontract.
Okay, it might be sticky situation, but
yeah,
okay.
yeah. You know, it's just collecting papers, and I'm not sure that you want to spend time doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, no more questions. Good. So I guess that we're done. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll send you the link to the recording and the slide share, one or another or both. So yes, if there is anything more we can help. Sorry? No, that's somebody's daughter. Okay, good. So if there is anything I can help with, please let me know. helpdesk@l4ms.eu, that's official email. We'll be happy to transfer your questions if they are technological ones to our engineers inside L4MS. And that's it. Have a great day. Good luck with your application. Still a lot of time, so I hope to see your registration everywhere. And I hope to be in touch. So that's it. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.